Hello, this is the Radio Geek, and today for you I thought I would show you the inside of the Retekess PR15, the AM/FM weather band radio, the 3-band radio. I had to figure out how it came apart. So basically, if you're looking at the other side of this part of the radio, you got to take out the two screws that were coming in from the other side. We're looking at the inside, but we're talking about the bottom of the radio, the outside. Take those two screws out. Then you need to, right in the battery compartment, just insert a flat head screwdriver like here and here, either side, and push in on it. And this plate here, this part of the black plastic will kind of pop up. Then you can get another screwdriver wedged in there or your fingers, and you just kind of pull up on the bottom. And this top part here that goes over the volume wheel and the headphone jack has some snaps on it, so it just kind of lifts up from the bottom to the top, and it'll pop up and pop out, and you'll be inside. It's not too bad inside. We've got a few things here. We've got some masking tape here, and looks like some hot glue holding the speaker in place. This tuning indicator, this piece of plastic here, actually fits in a channel right here in the front of the radio, and it slides in this slide right here, and this piece of red here, which is your indicator, is kind of got some ears on it, and it fits in this behind this piece of plastic. And then when it slides, you can't see it from this side of the radio. It's in between the front of the radio and this piece of plastic, and it just slides back and forth, and this part of the plastic fits in that channel right there. So that's how that works. The antenna doesn't look too bad. It looks like it's fairly tightly wound. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit here. So yeah, the antenna looks pretty tightly wound. Nice job. Looks like a good job. It's held in there. It's got its own little plastic carrier, which is kind of nice, and it kind of fits around everything else. There's a screw here and a screw here that you have to take out, and I think there's one down in here as well that need to be removed to get the board out. You can see the antenna wires here, and they go through a hole here and get soldered to the other side of the board. These are just some jumpers that they use on single-sided boards to get trace from a trace over here to a trace over here, and they kind of get traces going, and they need to jumper them to complete the circuit. That's what these little jumpers are for. Has some electrolytic capacitors here, an LED, and a 12 megahertz crystal. Looks like there's some board information here, model PR15, and possibly a date here, 2018-9/30, revision 1, and then looks like PCB 1.2 millimeter. Looks like they have a little cutout there for some wiring for the FM antenna and for the battery, so that's kind of nice. It won't get pinched that way. And then there's a switch here. I believe that's the band select switch. So let's put this back down to normal size. We'll go on to a few other pictures we have here. This is just another shot of the inside. And this is the circuit board on the other side, where all the action is going on this side. The soldering isn't too bad. There is some flux residue, which is typical on a radio of this price range. I think it was interesting that it looks like they have glue in between these surface mount resistors, which are probably like 603 size resistors. And I think that possibly, judging by the amount of solder that's on these pads, it doesn't look like it was pasted and soldered. It looks like they put all these through-hole components in here with these jumpers, and they glued all these components in place so they wouldn't fall off the board. And then they ran the board through a solder wave machine, and they soldered all the through-hole components in addition to the surface mount stuff all at the same time. It's what it kind of looks like. The only other reason I could think that they may have used the glue is if they had problems with one end sticking up under for the soldering process. They were like tombstoning and they wanted to make sure they didn't do that, but I wouldn't think they'd go through that kind of trouble for that. Now, I'm not quite sure if the IC was done that way though. I don't. And then these other components though, I can't really see if there's any evidence of glue under them. It just looks like they put a bead of glue underneath the smaller components. Like there's a couple of transistors down here, and I don't really see any beads of glue, but maybe they just have like a little blob, like a little dot under the center, and you just can't see it. Whereas these are all like, you know, 2 or 3 in a row, so they just put like a bead down there. I can see some on the outside of that as well, the single components. But I don't really see anything on the outsides of the IC or these transistors, but they could be in the center. It could be just a small little bead, little blop, and you might not be able to see it. So I'm not quite sure on that, which way it was done, but it definitely looks like there's way more solder than there typically is when they just paste it. So kind of interesting process there for sure. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, that's just kind of more of the same thing here. You can see, I guess I can see some of the other parts on this one that I couldn't see on the other one. You can kind of make out the chip here. It was a AKC 6952W, which is made by ACK Technologies, which is a Chinese company that makes radio chips and some other devices as well. Here's you can see the wires coming from the loop antenna on the other side of the board, soldering to its pads. It's marked AM1, AM2. This white stuff is just some flux residue. You can see various other connections for the antenna, for the FM weather band antenna there. They've got a speaker plus, speaker minus marked there and there. Got your battery. I'm assuming that'd be the battery there. Then you've got your volume wheel knob here. They've got some hot glue holding that speaker in place. So they got a little cutout there for the wire to go in there so it doesn't get pinched. It's kind of a nice thought there. They've thought of that. Headphone jack in this area here. I believe this particular radio chip also has its built-in audio amplifier as well, so this thing does quite a bit for sure. Let's see what else we have. There's a shot of the antenna, and you can see that it's pretty nicely wound. Now, it's going to be a little out of focus when I zoom in, but you kind of get the idea how tightly wound that is, and it's glued in there really nice. And they made a nice plastic holder for it that incorporates the tuning LED as well. And then the wires from the loop antenna just go through that hole and get soldered to the other side of the board. And the only thing else on here is just a few capacitors and a 12 megahertz crystal. Got a little bit of information there. The model PR15, date code 2018-930, revision 1, PCB 1.2 millimeter. So that's a little bit of information that they have on their circuit board. Yeah, this is just a general overall solder that they have with wires and what the solder conditions look like. Like I say, other than some flux residue, it doesn't look too bad. It is a single-sided board, and it looks as if it's got that copper look to the pads, where they have some kind of a coating on there before they solder it, and in the soldering process it kind of gets, I don't know, used up or dissolved or something, and it just kind of leaves what looks like exposed copper. I tried something different here. I tried looking through an eye loop with the camera, just to see what that would do. So it's kind of an experiment, and it kind of sort of works. There you can see the markings on the chip a bit better. It's the AKC 6952W. So you can see that there. And you can definitely see those beads of glue in between the resistors and stuff. Now, yep, can't read the chip on that one. I think that's what I was trying for initially, but I think we saw that in another photo. So those are the kind of the pictures that I found, or that I have. I did find a PDF of the radio chip. However, it's totally, well, not totally, 99.9% Chinese. I couldn't find an English translation of it. I tried to translate this PDF, and it kind of translated some things, but the fonts were kind of goofy, and some of the text was on top of the other text, and anything that had a picture or a pictorial was gone. It was just text, and so it really wasn't too useful. I suppose if maybe you put them side by side and compare them, maybe you could determine something with that. But it looks as if this radio chip has been around for a while. You can see that we have a last update of 7/30 of 2012, so it's been around for a bit. There are some things that poke out that are English, but most everything else is Chinese. There's some parts here that will be in English, but really nothing too terribly interesting. There is a page here it is, that shows I guess like typical application. They have a boom box, it says, and everything else is in Chinese. But this chip also has a built-in audio amplifier that looks as if it's capable of doing stereo. I don't remember if this Retekess PR15 had stereo headphone or not. I can't remember, but it's capable of doing it, so I'm assuming that possibly it does, but I really don't remember offhand. This has also got some other features that are in a boombox that aren't in this radio, and they were just kind of showing what you could do with this chip, not that this was the actual schematic for this particular radio. Yeah, just more Chinese. If anybody can speed read Chinese, there you go. Or you can download it if you want. And just search for the AKC 6925W, and it's AKC Technologies Limited is who makes the IC. So really, that's pretty much it as far as this radio goes. I thought it was kind of interesting to see what's inside of these radios, and sometimes you see the same chips over and over again, and other times you run across one that's a little bit different. I think this one I may have seen before, or certainly one that was made by this company before, but I think this is the first one that I've seen that has that radio chip with the built-in audio amplifier as well. But anyway, I just thought I'd show it to you guys and take a look inside, see what it was all about. Hope you liked it, and we'll see you next time. This is the Radio Geek.